We continue from where we stopped last time. And this time around, we are going to be looking at photographs and what are the different types of photographs, which types of the photographs can we encounter as we study. So when you look at this scope that we are going to be looking at, we are going to be looking at the importance of studying or learning different photographs or processes. The first thing here we are looking at are the types of photographs, photo interpretation, and also applicability. One of the major things that we are going to be considering are the types. As I've told you, are going to be looking at the different types that appear in terms of photograph when they are drawn to us or when they are portrayed to us. The first thing here we have what we call the landscape photograph. These ones try to show what we call the stretches of a given area or an area or a photograph or sorry, of an area how it looks like in terms of the natural appearance. So when we talk about the landscape, we are referring to what we term as the relief of the area, the general appearance of the area. That is what we call the landscape. When we move there, if you look at that photograph below, when you look at this photograph, sorry, it tries to display to you, it tries to display for you someone who rearing animals. But now when you look above there, in other words, the background, it is trying to show what we call the landscape. That behind you have raised areas, or we have what we call the uplands. When you come down, you have what we have termed as a flatland or a valley. And when you look at even the vegetation itself, it is trying to have scattered trees and bushes or thickets in there. So that's what we call photographs. So when you look at photographs, they are also grouped in different types. You may be having the ground and the area. But now here we are looking at the different types of photographs, not referring only to the geographical photographs. So those are some of the things, or that is a photograph that I can use to display for you what we call as the ground. Now, when now it comes to the wildlife, it will be mainly dealing with fauna and the fauna, together in aspects of the plant and the animals. But also, this one that I've tried to get for you, it clearly shows the plants and also the river system. For instance, it is displaying a river. It clearly shows that a photograph is trying to display the wildlife. When we talk about wildlife, it encompasses or it encounters very many things that we have talked about there. It may be plants, it may be animals, it may be the drainage system. So that one, all those things trying to display what we call wildlife. When you go on, there is what we call aerial photographs. When we are talking about the aerial photographs, when you see there, that's what we term as aerial photographs. So when it comes to the aerial photographs, these ones for them they are taken above, or when someone is taking them is always above the ground. So when you look at these ones, the objects of the aerial photographs when they are taken from the sky, they tend to be appearing smaller, and areas occupied by water bodies. Sometimes the color that may be reflected may be blue or black when they are taken. And also these photographs, they don't show what we term as the skyline. So for them, they don't show the skyline, but they intend to show areas that have got water bodies to be appearing black. They have a one-dimensional tops of The features are the one that are seen, and also they cover a wider area in coverage. So once an image is taken from above, it will be covering a very larger area compared to the other photographs that we are going to be talking about. Now, that is what we call the aerial photograph. Now, when you look at the sport photographs, and with the sport photographs, these ones, all the action photographs, these ones are taken when they are conducting sports or action. So those are the photographs that they tend to be capturing there. Then you have what we call the portrait photographs. These ones may be taken at portray a given thing or a given item. So we have the wedding photographs, and those ones are what we call the event photographs. These ones are usually taken when you have our introduction ceremonies. And then the fashions, and these ones they are photograph displayed with the major intention of displaying different fashions for given people, or different dressing code depending on different cultures or tribes. So those are what we call the fashions. Weddings I've mentioned above. Now, with photograph interpretation, is an act of examining photograph images for the purpose of identifying objects and justifying their significance or importance. So, photographs or images can be taken, but their major intention of taking those images is to justify the importance or the significance. So we may be taking a photograph, but when learners or people tending to be using that photograph, they want to find out the importance or the various economic activities that may be carried out in that area, or that people tend to be doing within that area. So that is what we call photographic interpretation. When we go on, we have what we call the aerial photographs. I've been talking about the aerial photographs. That these aerial photographs are taken above the sky, and these aerial photographs are taken using what we term as as the aeroplanes, or they are taken using the air balloons or drones. Most recently, the drones that we usually see. People have now tried to use this method even on events. For instance, ceremonies, people buy those those drones. They capture images when people are enjoying their ceremonies. So that's what we call the drone, that machine that they use, that moves around, small and very portable. It can easily move within the sky. So they are saying, what is aerial photograph and how does it work? I've told you what the aerial photograph is. So somebody here is saying that the aerial photograph is sound. It's sound. In other words, the process taking photographs from the air. By there is more than simply using light aircrafts or helicopters and flying up to take photographs. Definitely, that's what I told you about the aerial photographs. Then some landscape types are difficult to assess on foot as aerial photograph. True. So when you are taking these photographs, they may be difficult to you. The landscape photograph, they may be hard to you to obtain because you'll be needing to transverse the area. So the major thing now here you do is just simple. You are going to be hiring a helicopter or a drone to be capturing the images or the photos above the sky, even where you cannot reach. So that's how it works. And they are saying that they have been used as a method of landscape study for centuries, especially archaeologists and researchers have learned much about the world around us. They are saying that its application today are broad and coupled with what we call the growing technology of what we call the Geographical Information System, or the GIS. They are saying that they are taken in two bases, a form that is both having the different uses, and the application of oblique and the vertical. So when you look at the area also themselves, they have got what we call the area oblique and the area vertical. And with now the area oblique, images are usually taken at an angle 45. That is the area oblique. It will only capture features that are best viewed at all features that are best view of the future or the landscape. These images that tend to be near or closer will be appearing to be fine and good. With the area oblique, it will capture the image, but it will not be displaying what we term as the skyline, the skies or the clouds. So it will be tending to shy away from that area. Now listen here what they're saying. And they can be what even the angle given the best view of the future or the landscape. The area oblique is primarily used in archaeology to view a wide context of the features and the area around it. And they are saying that it gives the depth nearer always taken to as much as the lower elevation than the vertical in a few numbers. Its application is fairly limited and often taken for a specific purpose. In other words, that it can be able to capture images nearer once the camera is twisted at an angle of 45, compared to someone who will be using a vertical aerial photographs where you will be capturing information vertically at an angle 90 from the helicopter or from the plane. So that is what we have termed as the area oblique. Then you have what we call the area. Sorry, let me show you the photograph. Now, when you look at this photograph here, it's what we call the vertical area photograph. That is vertical area photograph. Then you have what we call the area oblique. Area oblique. Area oblique, for it will not be captured. This is area vertical. Area vertical, that is the area vertical. Now with the area oblique, for it to not be capturing all the necessary information. So even the images that will be captured, they will be differing from the other with the area oblique. I think I don't have that, but for it to be capturing images clearly, you'll be able to see all the images. Now, below here we have some of the application of aerial photographs. We are saying aerial photograph may be applied in what we call the archaeology, in the study of archaeology. When you look at the archaeology, this is the scientific method of obtaining information or buried under the ground by use of excavation method. So here they are saying that in aerial photograph is the idea for looking or locating rusty monuments and tracking features, especially those that are viewed, especially those that are not visible or that are buried under the ground. So that one, it can help you to capture the material or monuments or features that are buried under the ground with the help of aerial photographs, because for them they cover a wide range, so you can be able to map out those areas or those zones that people of long ago might have lived, or things or an area that may be having material of long ago. We are saying crop marking and purchase marking. So this one also it enables someone to determine the seasons when he is supposed to be growing a specific crop. After you knowing that you are going to be growing crops, you must know which area am I going to be considered, which channels which areas have got water systems. So if I'm allocating my garden, I should be considering the area concerning the water channels. Look at the different places. Which soils do they have? Look at even how water flows from which direction, which direction. If I'm considering the water, if I want to tap, will it be costly for me to transport the water from this point to the other point when I'm using the irrigation method or the pipeline transport? So that one is also considered as a factor. So in the details, they're talking about the soil max. It can also help us there in terms of identifying the soil max. When you talk about the soil max, so when you take those photographs from above, they can help you to study areas that have got water bodies. If the area have got water bodies, that means that those areas are poorly drained. And when you talk about the gentle slopes, for them they are well drained areas. So that means that the areas that have got gentle slopes, they have what we call deep, mature, and fertile soils. Now, when it comes to areas that are poorly drained, this one they have got what we call acidic soils. In other words, they have what we call peaty soils, or what you can term as the intrazonal soils. When we talk about the intrazonal soils, they are not fertile or not infertile, but they are just a middle way. They are just a halfway, fertile or infertile. Now they are also showing that they also help to give the rock profile of monument. So you can be able to identify the profile, how this material all remains are laid according to the vertical arrangement of soil layers from the ground, from the bottom to the bottom, from the top to the bottom, from the upper layer to the bottom layer, within the ground. Now that gives an insight about the area in terms of the arrangement in the profile in order to identify an area. Also, it helps in urban studies. So when you take those photographs, they can clearly show to you that in this specific area, the area is associated with the maybe it can be development, it can be of modern planning, when houses they are arranged or when they are developed. You can even be able to see the transport means in terms of roads that are well established. Even when you look at how cities or an area it can be planned, you can be even to identify new facilities or facilities that exist in that place. For example, they may be sports stadiums, it may be infrastructure development, there may be hospitals. So when you take photographs above the sky, simply because you say that they give a wide range or they cover a wider area, so you can be able to identify areas with their special interest in terms of development and also other infrastructure development. And then we have what we call the climatic change. So when you take a photograph with the aid of the aerial photograph, it can clearly show that that area you are talking about, due to the global changes or climatic changes, you may see the green appearing. If it is dark, if the green is there, you'll be seeing that that area is affected by, it is receiving rainfall. If the area is having no vegetation, you can also be clearly able to identify that area, and you'll be telling that maybe the temperatures are hot in that area, simply because you are looking at the photographs and you are able to identify the area according to what you are seeing, and you interpret the condition of that area with the mere use of photographs. So I think that will be marking the end of that. And here we are having the comparison between maps and photographs. When you look at this comparison between the maps and photographs, it is very simple. Look at the maps and also look at the photographs. When you look at the photographs, these ones, they try to show maps in what of what they are in what we call diagrams, and they have points and lines which represent different features in the real world, and also they show what we call the spatial relationship between them without looking at anything like uh, the real world. These ones, they normally show what we call the spatial relationship, and they are currently, or they remain in the same way as they are drawn. In other words, they remain in the same way for a longer period. Once a map is taken, for instance, it is displaying rivers or lakes of a particular area, it will be displaying that photograph will be the map will be taken or it will be drawn. Because with the photograph you're looking at drawing, it will be drawn. After being drawn, it will be showing those features there. With the photograph, it is just taken. So that is the difference. And then they say that maps are sometimes like natural or human. They are in natural state, human resources, political boundaries, physical boundaries, rivers, plateaus, mountain, rifts, valleys. Whereas photographs, this one justify the matter of useful of the diagram in terms of resources, the status or not. So those are some of the differences we can talk about, and so under the comparisons that we can give about photographs and map work. The other are there because when you look at maps, they have symbols. Photographs, no. Are we together? We don't consider anything. When you look at the maps, they are more easier to control graphically than the photographs because they are designed symbols that are used and sizes and also distances that are measured. With the photographs, no. As then also maps are dynamic. In others, they can keep on changing. Without photographs, you cannot change a photograph. It is dynamic. Sorry, it is static. So those are some of the things we can talk about the comparisons. For now, I beg we stop here, where we shall be picking up next time from.